So I want to go to our next panel, or our panelist who's on the Zoom, LaToya Whiteside, as an attorney with the Prison Legal Services, right? As an advocate, you speak towards some of the reports that you received with regards to discrimination and corrections. What were some of the reports that you received that you had to deal with, and what are some examples of actual cases that you work with around this particular topic?
Before I go into the specifics, if I could just point out, I think something foundational that we should all recognize, and I think it also speaks to what the gentleman early on in the panel mentioned about the lack of available programming, and also what Diamond mentioned about the fact that we continue to have these meetings, and it's really a lot of circular reasoning. And I think the biggest issue and biggest cause of that is because a lot of what we're sharing today is anecdotal information. We're great, I think, just as a culture, we're storytellers. We're very accustomed to being on the front lines and fighting the fight from a grassroots level, but we have to start thinking about this systemically. We have to start thinking in fighting in their language. We need to start going to our legislators. We need to start actually looking at the numbers. And the biggest problem, not only in the state of Massachusetts, but nationally, is that no Department of Corrections, no correctional facility or institution is mandated to aggregate race data. So where that leaves us is a lot of stories being told about our experiences and no black and white numbers. Black and white numbers is what gets the funding. Black and white numbers is what gets the action and the movement. And we're going to keep having these meetings and continue to have these conversations about the struggles of our brothers and sisters on the inside until we start showing proof and start embarrassing some of these legislators and embarrassing these states about what's happening from behind the wall. Right now, the Department of Correction mandates, one is not mandated to collect racial demographics. So the only information that we have accessible is we have population trends, and that's even skewed because they're counting a lot of our Hispanic brothers and sisters as white Hispanic. So those numbers aren't accurate. They collect crime trends, population trends, and just very little information about solitary confinement. So we have no idea what programs are actually available for Black and brown prisoners and how are they benefiting from those programs. We don't know any of the outcomes of access to institutional employment. We don't know outcomes to disciplinary proceedings other than just how many Black and brown brothers are actually in solitary. We don't know why they're ending up there. We don't know the outcomes of disciplinary proceedings. We don't even have the numbers for medical, and we've seen that with COVID. So the first thing we need to do is start pushing for the collection of this data, centralized data, and also incorporating an enforcement mechanisms so DLC is actually being held accountable for this data not being collected. And then we can talk about, the individualized efforts that we're doing and the individualized programs that we're trying to put together from the ground up. But I think right now, the biggest issue that I would ask everyone to do is contact your legislators. Right now, REICI, we have a data bill that's currently in the Judiciary Committee and in Public Safety. And that, if that bill passes, it'll be the first of its kind in the nation, and it will mandate the Department of Corrections to actually collect race data. And not only that, it would also audit the Department of Corrections to start addressing structural racism and the desperate impacts of that against Black and brown prisoners. So I would encourage everyone to, I believe individuals are, Ariana and someone else is actually sharing that information, and one can also share that information with you, detailing more about the specific legislation. But please, if you are interested at all in true prison reform and the impact that this has on our Black and brown brothers and sisters from behind the wall, please contact your legislators. Start there. Let them know how important this bill is, and that's what we need to be focusing on. And then we can talk about the grassroots efforts.